The Bronze Man. There was a bronze man, or native son, who lived in the California desert as an Apache warrior full blood. His skin was so tanned that he appeared as red as earth and clay, a simple man like Adam, who also looked that way. His skin did shine, as a bronze man made of metal. He was eagle-eyed, with a rich history of victory. The story begins at the time when he dies. This man died of a wounded heart that was cut asunder when he least expected this attack from another. When the tribal council asked what was the cause of his death, his warrior friend replied, "It wasn't caused by an enemy from the tribes that do surround us, nor was it caused by his own tribe member in a challenge of courage or conquest. We saw the arrows fly from beyond the veil of a place in spirit, where a battle did appear. He held on to the reins of his horse when the sound of an arrow flew with a lightning-like force. It reached beyond the dimensions of time. He fought in a battle of a future of warriors who set up troops on a line. Who were these men with strange white skin and unusual clothing on their backs? They wore strange headdresses on the top of their heads, and then we watched until the veil closed and the dimension could no longer be seen up ahead. By that time, we didn't know that one of our warriors had dropped to his death. Then he asked the elders, 'How can this be? Is it an illusion that we see? Can an Apache man die from a ghost rider who sends a ghost arrow that shoots much faster than lightning?' We could not see beyond his sight. These mysterious ghosts took him to his death in the broad daylight." The elders were perplexed to learn what happened next. He appeared to be more than just a warrior of human flesh. They now knew that he was part spirit amongst them and was able to move into both worlds without question. He rode out in the desert alone, as if he knew that they were coming. He may have planned this meeting to change the destiny of his large family. Legend says that he was out riding his black horse on the desert when this ghost rider shot him. The arrow hit him hard and pierced his heart in the center. He could foresee a future that threatened the existence of all his people. A young warrior of 17, he never had a wife or family, yet he died of a broken heart that was pierced so deeply. There in the desert he lay bleeding by his black horse, quietly weeping. The blood poured from him quickly. Soon his bronzed skin looked very sickly. There in the pool of blood on the desert floor, the sky did open and rained down as if the sky also mourned. One eye closed and the other eye stayed open, one eye looking to Mother Earth and the other to Father Sky. The legend says the warrior never died. He still stands as a native son in the southwest sun with pride. Arise, O heroes, and those who hear the warrior's cry. It was the earth that took him and then brought him to the sky. California's destiny, he remains there for eternity. He stands there and waits by the shore on painted horse of crimson. He challenges those of prejudice or hatefulness toward racial indifference. He is a most ghostly image, a figure of remembrance that has the wisdom in him. He is a friend of all native people. His tribe still dances, and he continues to dance along with them. Mock not the hosts of native blood, for in their power they rise above. There is no escape from this wounded land, Make haste to give fairness back to them, to see that unity can prevent a future tragedy. To the elusive guides and warrior ghosts, forgive us your innocent, blood-filled host. Release us from the lying treaty. Find a way for all of us to cohabit peacefully.
So this story was created long ago, around 2011, and now I'm looking at it's 2020, and it's really evident about racial indifference, and this addresses that issue. It also addresses the issue of the native perception and ability to foretell the future, because of the spiritual work that they have, and that they do not suppress that spiritual work, and so they keep their eyes open to any type of foresight, kind of like the Hopi prophecies, and many others. There were writings of Black Elk and of course Black Hawk. There was information about him, and Peter had talked about Black Hawk. So we have so many different things that are happening in California. California is a very interesting place. It was a place that had many indigenous people moving about, living there, and creating an energy field. It also is the place which connects to Lemuria and many of the astral beings, also the Polynesians, another group of indigenous people. So we see so many different connections of what happens there in California. But let's return back to the topic of this Apache warrior who is riding a black horse. The reason why I brought this up is because the gentleman that inspired the image that I created was had a specific name, first name. Someone had a dream. They contacted me and they told me about this dream, and they literally heard the same name and about someone being pierced with an arrow. So I said, well, I guess it's time for me to share the story. So this warrior sees into the future. There's a pocket of time, and he sees a future where General Custer's men show up, and there's a bloody battle, and it just changes a lot of different things that are happening. The interesting part is that he also is an interdimensional being in a way, kind of manifested in the flesh. But we see that this interdimensional exchange happens, and he literally gets pierced, he gets killed in real time. One could say, how does that happen? Well, it does happen. There are people that have died from astral attacks, from unseen forces. And so you can't, it's one of those really weird stories, and I'm not fully sure why they wanted to share the story exactly like this, other than a third element that they bring up. They compare him to Adam. And it's interesting because Adam is brought up in a Christian belief system, the Hebrew belief system, as well as the Muslim belief system. There's probably even other religions that bring up Adam. I don't really recall a story from the native lore, and to tell whether or not there was an Adam. I know even in ancient Greek, and the stories of ancient Greece and Rome, There was, the story of the first man and woman creating other females and males, and the story kind of opens up in another way. But I think this is, the discussion of the bronze man, or being connected to the earth, looking like the soil of the earth, being one with the earth, embracing the earth as a mother, embracing the sky as the father. And so, we get back to kind of the grassroots of humanity, and all of the early stories of many different cultures going back to the same story. We also see a reflection that the sky actually grieved the rain or whatever had transpired because of this loss, and yet he doesn't go. He remains in spirit. He is there to guard, to remind everyone that we are from the same place, and that he is there to contend with racial injustice. He begins riding a black horse. In the end, he has a painted horse of crimson, red horse. And so they say that, he still carries a presence there in California. He still dances with his tribe. He's still there to deal with the wounded land, and also the many other things that have transpired. I think this is relative to today, what's going on. I don't doubt that he has a presence there now. In the end, he says, "Mock not the hosts of native blood, for in their power they rise above. There is no escape from this wounded land. Make haste to give fairness back to them, to see that unity can prevent a future tragedy." To the elusive guides and warrior ghosts, give us your innocent blood-filled host. Release us from the lying treaty. Find a way for all of us to cohabit peacefully. There have been a lot of wrongs and injustices. There have been a lot of miscommunications. But we do pray for healing of the land. And for those of you that are not from the United States, you have many stories as well that carry a wound of some sort that needs to be healed. Send forth healing to the nations that you reside in now, and to create balance on the earth and harmony. Remember, we all have the opportunity to change things for the better. Thank you for listening.